Good evening, New York. Welcome to our panel about the Greek AI, and I'm thrilled to be here with these guys on the panel. AI is treated as a core element of corporate governance, a performance driver, and a decision maker. The acceleration of Greece's digital transformation must be fundamentally tied to legal security. The creation of a stable and predictable legal framework is essential for securing the country's sustainable integration into the digital economy of the future and for attaching crucial investments. I have to underline the importance of the AI Act for the systemic regulation of risk, as well as the recent legislation passed in Greece since 2024 about NIS2, which significantly expands compliance obligations across critical sectors. The strict supervision imposed by national bodies, such as the Data Protection Authority, necessitates that Greek businesses manage both the cost and legal liability. I have to conclude that the success of the country's digital leap will be determined by the ability of Greek businesses to transform compliance into an opportunity for innovation. Only this way will AI be able to positively impact the state, businesses, employees, and society, confirming its position as a multiplier of economic performance. Now, I have to tell you, I'm quite tempted of prolonging this introduction, but given the quality of the panel and the importance of the topic, I have to give it to them. Special thanks to Olga and Nikos Vornozis for having us 27 consecutive years here. And with no further ado, I have to pass the floor. And first and foremost, we have to listen to Mr. Kratsios. Michael John Katsakas Kratsios serves as the 13th Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy of the U.S. administration.
Hello to everyone at this year's Invest in Greece Forum. I'm Michael Kratsios, Assistant to the President for Science and Technology, and the Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. While I'm sorry I can't join you in person in New York's truly stunning Metropolitan Club, it is an honor to be invited to speak to you briefly today. Many thanks to Capital Link team and the panelists you'll be hearing from shortly. My main message for you is simple. Critical technologies like AI are redefining what robust infrastructure and workforce investments mean. And Greece is already doing a great job capturing the opportunities our revolutionary technological moment presents. As a proud American of Greek heritage, I'm very pleased to see the progress the Hellenic Republic has made in participating in the high-tech economy. I'm particularly happy to see the success of pioneering American companies' investments in Greece. Google has built out an important cloud computing region in Greece, laying foundations for future innovation. Tesla's Athens engineering office, established in 2018, has helped the car makers' research and development for advanced electric powertrains kick into high gear. In Thessaloniki, Pfizer's Global Center for Digital Innovation is applying cutting-edge computer power to improving drug discovery. In its AI ecosystem especially, Greece has already taken great strides. The Greek government was quick to recognize the opportunity AI presents and was early in formulating a national AI strategy. I commend its special focus on training and education so that Greek citizens can leverage AI applications with confidence in this technology rather than with fear. A great example of this is the OpenAI for Greece partnership and the use of ChatGPT EDU in secondary education. To further seize the opportunities presented by AI for Americans and Greeks alike, we must protect and foster innovation. We should be on guard against overly precautionary regulatory regimes and reject the temptation of bureaucratic control and global governance of the AI ecosystem. I and my colleagues are committed to promoting private sector-led development of AI systems, applications, and infrastructure. As Greece's technological investments already reflect, Furthering AI innovation requires updating approaches, clearing away barriers, and rebuilding the industrial bedrock of our countries. On July 23, the United States released Winning the AI Race, America's AI Action Plan. This plan emphasizes the revolutionary potential of AI to extend progress in digital technology into the physical world. The action plan's third pillar is international diplomacy and security. Great American companies remain the innovation leaders in AI across the full technology stack, including advanced semiconductor design, frontier algorithms, and cutting-edge applications. The United States government is committed to enabling them to continue to share these incredible technologies with our international friends and partners. The United States and Greece already share many bonds of affection and commerce, and I look forward to a future of many, many more. Thank you.
All right. Let's give now the floor to Ivan, who sits next to me. Ivan Kotsovinos is Vice President and General Manager at Google. His main strategic focus is on planet-scale solutions that protects the security and privacy of data of Google's 5 billion users around the world. Ivan, go ahead.
I thought you were going to ask me a question, Dimitri, but thanks for the kind introduction.
Like a trigger point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just share a couple of opening thoughts. First of all, so I focus on security, safety, and privacy. So I deal with a lot of security issues. I deal a lot with AI and the safety and security of AI. And I deal a lot with regulation in Europe and elsewhere. So I'll just say from a security standpoint, we are in an era of persistent, permanent cyber conflict already. It's happening every single day. It's happening everywhere. It's not confined to government networks and military networks. It's affecting every organization around the planet. And AI, I think, is the only solution to the cybersecurity conundrum of the world. Given the scale of the problem and the pervasiveness and complexity of the problem, there's just no way the human mind can respond to that challenge. And AI is really the only solution to the cybersecurity of the world. Happy to expand on that later if you'd like me to. And the other thing I'd say is on regulation. I fully agree with Mr. Kratsios earlier. I think we ought to be mindful of the impact of overregulation on innovation, particularly in Europe. To give you a sense, we are faced with over 100 technology-focused regulations in Europe, laws in Europe, over 270 technology-focused regulations in Europe as Google. And so that sort of environment with this level of complexity and lack of coherence and consistency makes it very difficult to innovate in Europe. So I would definitely suggest, as Mario Draghi said, that we're cautious about this culture of over-caution. Precaution, I think, was the word he used. Like, I think we have to be careful not to over-regulate and strive for innovation with that approach.
Can I ask you, but we read all these stories about deepfakes and agentic hackers. Will AI make the world safer or less safe?
Yeah, I mean, look, like every technology, every big technology change, it'll be used for good and for evil. And there's no question that we're seeing a lot of the examples that you mentioned. I was in India a couple of weeks ago, Dimitri, and the, I guess, inventiveness that I saw there in terms of using AI for evil just really shocked me. You know, there are all kinds of horrible scams happening very, very widely in India and the rest of the world. So definitely there's going to be some real challenges. But ultimately, I think AI will make the world safer. We have no choice but to use AI to make the world safer. And to give you an example of what that looks like, for example, in terms of software security, I mentioned earlier that cybersecurity is a pervasive threat. Most of these cybersecurity issues, these cyber attacks, these data breaches that you hear and see about, most of them relate to some sort of software vulnerability. Software vulnerabilities allow bad actors to get in and steal data and compromise systems. And so we've developed agents, AI agents, that detect and remediate, fix software vulnerabilities automatically. And so, you know, we're approaching a moment where these tools can be unleashed to just make software safer everywhere. And that will change the game for the better.
Well, I want to ask you, father to father, Australia implemented a social media ban. How do you see that?
father to father, I fully understand the sort of the spirit of it and the desire and the need and the pressure to do something to protect children online. I think the approach of banning outright is probably not going to be the most effective. And I think the way to think of it is like, if you think of children in a city, you want to protect them from passing traffic and the dangers of the city, not by fencing them into the house, but by teaching them how to keep themselves safe. And I think we have to do the same thing online. We have to make sure the content that children see is age appropriate. We have to make sure the experiences are age appropriate. We have to make sure parents have control over the time that children can spend online and what they can do online. But I don't think we should go as far as to say children have to be fenced in and not be exposed to the reality of the digital world. Because then at some point, the children will become adults, and you want to have digitally educated adults, not adults who have been fenced in for their whole lives.
All right. Okay. I keep on asking all night long, so let's pass it next to George, who sits next to Ivan. George Balafoutis is Director of Cybersecurity Technical Strategy Customer Success at Microsoft. He leads a team of cybersecurity architects responsible for technical delivery, IP development, and product improvement standards across 119 countries. Within 14 years at Microsoft, George has held various global and regional roles, including Security CSU Global Technical Team Manager, EMEA Technical Delivery Senior Manager, and Cybersecurity Architect responsible for compromise recovery across several of Microsoft's largest customers. George, the floor is on you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Christopoulos. And I think I agree with everything Mr. Kotsovinos said, so I think we're good. No, so I want to summarize very quickly.
Really?
So you don't need to speak.
Yeah, so I will agree. And we've got persistent conflict affecting everybody globally. We've got AI making big impact. Today I brought a very timely update. I know this is a non-technical audience. The Microsoft Digital Defense Report came out very recently, and it has some very good insights. I want to summarize it for this audience to make sure you see the scale of the problem and some quick elements to it on the emerging threats. So first of all, cybersecurity is a very big business. Many don't realize this, but if you add up the stolen monetary assets, you add up the stolen intellectual property, lost productivity, brand damage, that adds up to $8 trillion. That's growing very quickly.
It's a lot of money.
So that's a lot of money. If you compare it to national GDP, it would be the third largest country in the world. So that is very costly, very painful for a lot of organizations and people. Some of the findings from this report are that AI is powering everything the threat actors want to do. The bad guys, we call them threat actors. So threat actors are leveraging AI for social engineering. They're leveraging it for making it into supply chains. So they're using supply chain attacks, pseudo-supply chain attacks we call them, so that they can, instead of reaching one organization, they can reach many through there. We also have cyber mercenaries. They're using AI in order to be able to infiltrate organizations and get high-value assets, access executive and C-suite individuals and all the data they have access to, and they're using that very effectively. And also we have very effective use of AI in node networks. So if you look at decentralized approaches, one attacker node goes down, another one is stood up very quickly and very effectively. So if you look at all of that, you may wonder, what are they targeting? Who's the target of this? And the reason this report is so important is because it helps inform policy, strategy at all levels. And this can be helpful for Greece and any other country that's very serious about its security posture. So what are we seeing? We're seeing that they're using it for data theft and extortion. Interestingly enough, that adds up to more than 70% of the findings from the Microsoft Digital Defense Report. Pure cyber espionage was less than 4%, which is an interesting finding. Again, I highly recommend anybody who wants to find more about this, they can go to the report. They're targeting research and academia. They're targeting governments, they're targeting financial institutions, and healthcare. So they're reaching out to all of these critical infrastructure, essential organizations for a country's proper operation and every citizen's safety. Okay, there's a lot of focus on On the aggressive side, let's look at the defensive side. If you look at that, AI is also powering a lot of the defense mechanisms. So it essentially highlights how we're using AI in the protect, detect, respond lifecycle, including the governance elements to it. And so that what used to take hours of scouring through logs and findings in order to identify if there was an issue, this happens in moments now. So that makes a defender's life much easier as well.
Cool.
If you look at what's happening, so if you've got the AI-powered threat actors, you've got AI-powered defenders, we're seeing the trend, according to this report, and this is something well known to everybody here, social engineering is the easiest way in. If you can convince somebody to hand over their credentials to you, if you can convince somebody to install malicious software on their device, their phone, their computer, then they become you. They're able to do whatever that person has access to. And that's the easiest way in. And we see a lot of social engineering getting better and better. I was at a panel a few days ago, a very, very interesting conference on healthcare and AI and security. And the topic came up of quishing. Has anybody heard of quishing? Raise your hand if you have. 1, 2, 3 hands.
Well, it's a lot.
That's a lot, more than I expected. Okay, so that's QR phishing. It's become very easy. We've become accustomed to using technology, scanning a QR code. Once we see it, we see a lot of issues with people taken advantage of. So you see an email that has a QR code, instructions, take a photo and scan that QR code. It takes you to a malicious website, redirects you to a legitimate website. In the meantime, they've installed malicious software. You never even know that happened. We've seen that in the physical world too. Posters where they put a sticker on a new QR code over the existing QR code, and you never know what happened. You just scan that. It eventually takes you to the legitimate website, but in the meantime, your device has been infected with whatever malicious software was being approached. So social engineering is the attack vector, and it's quite effective. So how does this apply to Greece, and what are we looking at? So Greece and the National Cybersecurity Agency has put a lot of effort. I applaud their efforts into making sure that we're protecting national infrastructure, prioritizing essential sectors, implementing the European NIS2 directive. It's very encouraging and extremely encouraging, I would say, that many of these measures emphasized in the reports, the recommendations from the report I'm talking about, are already reflected in the Greece's implementation of the NIS2 directive. So very optimistic about that. I'm also very optimistic about the technical talent in Greece. I've been fortunate enough to manage and support a lot of people on the technical side in Greece, and they're highly sought after across Europe. So financial institutions, pharmaceutical organizations asking for Greek talent to help them out. Having regional roles, there's a lot of flexibility on where you can ask for your teams to be from. A lot of that happened from Greece. So it's very encouraging to see these efforts. I have to say cybersecurity cybersecurity success is often invisible. Like the absence of news is the good news part of it. So the fact that an organization can be doing a very good job is because you're not hearing a lot about them in the news. And we need continued investment in order to keep it as much as we can that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George, on that. Well, next would be Mr. Bill Karnazes. Bill sits as a member of the Viohalco Executive Committee. He is the Chief of Services Officer and General Manager of Corporate Services for Viohalco companies. He is responsible for the group operational areas of international business operations, marketing, communications, European affairs, sustainability, energy, you name it. He's done everything. Let us hear him so that we can understand the entrepreneurial point of view as to AI. Go ahead, Bill.
And one of the things you forgot to say is that I'm a recent rebrain of coming to Greece 4 years ago.
That's right.
Where I was with Qualcomm Semiconductors.
No, I did it on purpose so that you say it.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you for having us, and thank you, Dimitris, for being our moderator. I'm not going to focus on how we need to get protected by cybersecurity because I'm going to let these guys do it from Microsoft and Google. What I'm going to focus on is how Viohalco, one of the largest industrial companies in Greece, drives AI inside our industry, and how we do that in a secure way. Because as we heard from the previous speakers, we have to look at it in a way that we leverage this technology, but we also have to secure our environment and our essential areas within our company. So real quickly, just to give you a perspective of who Viohalco is, we produce and sell products in metals processing in the energy sector. We have 14,000 employees globally. We have 32 factories, and we operate in about 5 main segments, but under those segments we have about 92 business entities. The reason why I'm telling you all this is so you can understand how we're driving AI at Viohalco, and we generated a little bit over 7 billion in revenue. So the way we're approaching digital transformation and AI at Viohalco is looking at 3 pillars. The first pillar is within how we drive AI in a scalable way, and we do that in 3 areas: in the business side, the industrial side, and then the foundational layers that is required to support those 2 first layers that I just mentioned. So when we look at it from the industrial side, Viohalco has been using AI for many years before all this hype we're hearing today with Gen AI, primarily using machine learning. So what have we done there from an AI perspective is using machine learning to help us with predictive maintenance, quality control, areas of detecting impurities in scrap. So as scrap arrives, we're able to detect how the impurities within that scrap load. And the new areas that we're looking to leverage AI is in health and safety. So leveraging cameras within the factories and being able to bring that back into a model that can help us detect immediately where we have potential issues from a health and safety perspective. On the business side, we're looking at more from the transactional side. So as we look at our ERP system, SAP, we're looking at the large end-to-end business processes like procure to pay, order to cash. And what we're looking to do there is to embed AI within those processes to drive efficiencies. One of the issues that we have, at least in Greece, is staffing and shortage of qualified staff employees. So one of the things that this is going to help us is potentially augment that staffing shortage, because we're going to become more efficient, and then we can continue to use the same employees to move into other areas within the organization. The other pillar that we are focusing quite a bit is in training. For us, it's important to have the appropriate training throughout our company. Our corporate academy has been focusing primarily more on management and leadership training. We're after shifting that also to technical training, and now we're also moving into AI training, because we need to educate our employees how to work alongside AI. That's something that is going to be important, because a lot of times some people are resistant to using AI. So I think if we spend time to educate them, upskill them and reskill them, I think it's going to be a successful way for us to roll it out, because we want them to be part of this new initiative that we're doing. The other pillar that is important for us is security. So because we have to operate in a very secure environment. So cybersecurity, information security is very important. We have a dedicated team that's focusing on ensuring that what we're doing it securely, especially as we're extracting data from the factory, putting it in the cloud, using it for use cases for AI, making sure that as it goes back into the organization, we're all operating in a secure way. And we did hear about the legislation that's coming from Europe. So, of course, we have the AI Act, the Cybersecurity Act. All those are coming to us. But at the same time, we as a company have to make sure that we're doing it not just because of legislation, but to actually create a secure environment within Viohalco. And I think the last point that's very important, I do see this happening in Greece, is how does the public sector with the private sector work alongside. And we're working very closely also with the Greek government as it relates to cybersecurity, because I think the only way that we all are secured is if everybody in our ecosystem is secured. So it's not just with the private sector, it's also the public sector, because as we're also engaging with public authorities on using some of their tools, we want to make sure that all that interaction is happening in a very secure way.
Thank you so much, Bill. It was really interesting to hear it from you. I just want to ask you, how do you think that AI and cloud technologies be integrated across diverse industrial segments to create a unified, data-driven operations without disrupting existing legacy systems?
So I kind of mentioned it. We're looking at it from a scalability perspective. So we have what I call a center of excellence of AI in our corporate headquarters, and their job is to actually look at where we can take specific use cases and scale it across all the factories, all the business entities, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to do it effectively and gain the efficiencies. So having a team that's looking at scalability, that's looking on how to drive best practices, but also is in charge of the governance.
Kind of vertical.
The governance of how we do this, how we bring the data, how do we make sure that we have structured data so that we can consume it. I think that's how we're addressing it at Viohalco.
All right, thank you for the time.
Okay.
Well, last but not least, let's hear Andreas. Andreas Stavropoulos has been a Silicon Valley tech venture capitalist for 25 years. His firm has backed companies like Tesla, Baidu, Skype, SpaceX, and hundreds of others. For the past 5 years, he has been helping the Greek tech ecosystem through his roles of Endeavor Greece Board, the PM's Advisory Committee on AI for Greece, and most recently as the chair of the Investment Committee of the Board of Growth Fund. Andreas.
I wanted to start because Mike Kratsios also mentioned this report that you also mentioned in my bio. So back in late 2023 and for most of 2024, the Prime Minister set up a committee of experts to basically write the report that Mr. Kratsios referred to, which he called it the national strategy. But the way we approached it was basically trying to answer a simple question, which is, can Greece, given the disruption that's happening, that's brought on by artificial intelligence and in general, let's say the full entry of the world into the digital age, can Greece play in the Premier League? For those of you who are football fans, can we play Proti Ethniki when it comes to artificial intelligence? How can that be used in various sectors? We had 4 different sectors of the report. You can find it online. It was published in late 24. It's called the Blueprint Greece's National Artificial Intelligence Transformation or something like that. And it had 4 sections. And the sections I primarily worked on, I'm the primary author of, is around entrepreneurship and innovation. And so I just wanted to actually present some of the high-level recommendations that we made, because I'm now very glad to report that a full year later, a lot of them are actually being implemented, which is amazing to see, because usually between ideation and good intentions and communications and a lot of, patting on the back and maybe passing a law, between that and actually having something implemented, especially if the public sector is involved, there's a big chasm there. So the fact that some of these initiatives are actually seeing the light of day, for me, has been really rewarding to see. So what we basically talked about in this report were a couple of high-level themes that repeated themselves throughout it. And one word that we used a lot was leapfrogging. At times of great disruption, a country that has actually missed the train, and we can clearly say that Greece for a number of years was a laggard when it came to digitization of all kinds of different sectors of the economy. And then all of a sudden, if you've missed the train and there's a new faster train that's coming down the pike, it might actually be easier to completely leapfrog over a legacy system, let's say era, and go straight to the latest and best. And there's no better example of seeing that than the work that happened with gov.gr. Greece went from a heavily bureaucratic, extremely red tape laden, and with a lot of inefficiencies.
Yeah, you name it.
Right? All the way to being a leader in the digital relationship between citizens and the state. I would say far in advance of anything that happens in the U.S. I keep getting the same letter from the IRS every 3 months or so that, your request from 2 years ago, we need more time, right? And every time they get 3 more months. Anyway, leaving that aside. So the idea was, where are opportunities within the Greek sectors to have leapfrogging opportunities? And if you think about some of the verticals that we focused on, there's this initiative called the AI Factory that you may have heard of, called Pharos, which is about to kick off. And there were 3 specific verticals that we focused on for that in terms of the impact of private enterprise that can be attracted to come to the U.S. and work on these. And these 3 verticals were healthcare, climate adaptation and sustainability, and the third one is language, culture, and art, because obviously Greece has a lot of tradition there, but also has a very obvious need to create an official Greek language data space and the LLMs and models that come with that. So why healthcare? Because we went from, again, a very undigitized space to now having population-wide electronic information that joins together the entire population, including a single source of truth with an electronic medical record for a population-wide initiatives, coupled with preventative population health, one of the most aggressive, in a good way, ones that I've seen in the world, actually, getting out the population and doing preventative health asks that effectively ensure that everyone then becomes part of the overall, digital data space. So healthcare is an obvious one. The climate one, because Greece is in the middle, it gets hit with every climate event, right? It gets the medicanes, it gets fires, it gets floods, right? For a country that's that small, that has very small area, it actually has huge variability of climate, local weather, microclimates. It has mountains, it has islands, it has everything that there is to see. So for companies that are dealing with algorithms that have to do with climate prevention and mitigation of phenomena, things that have to do with agritech in a highly fragmented primary sector space, the idea is that you could become an area where a lot of these AI algorithmic innovations can actually be put to the test. You can have field testing and piloting of cutting-edge, world-leading global technology. So one of the efforts, and I'll maybe pause there to see if there's more time to discuss any of these, one of these efforts through the AI Factory is to become an accelerator that gets private enterprises from around the world, and obviously in Greece as well, with free compute, and most importantly, access to this kind of data that is very hard to find at these scales anywhere else in the world, in a regulatorily protected environment through sandboxes and safe harbor laws, to be able to do cutting-edge work in Greece that is very difficult to do in other places around the world. So between those initiatives and the general energy that I observed today, with also the other elements of the ecosystem like HDBI putting in money and becoming a big LP in a lot of local funds, we're finally seeing the legs of the stool that are multi-legged stool that is an ecosystem being developed. To me, it feels like there is a wind of great hope that is blowing through anything that has to do with technology and artificial intelligence, specifically for Greece. So I'm very, very happy to see that.
Agreed. Just want to ask you, and this might go to all of you, with the occasion of the MOU signed between the US and the Greek administrations, how do you think that we can preserve and at some point make sure the environment, when we collect data, the ones that would become the base for the AI to be developed?
For everyone.
I think for everybody.
I mean, look, I can start real quick just because it picks up from what I just said, which is at the end of the day, the AI models are getting better every day, right? As someone said, the model you're using today from OpenAI or whoever is the worst model you will ever use in your life, right? It's the worst thing you'll ever see. And these things are changing on a weekly basis. You know, we got people from Google here, Gemini, leapfrogged over some of the OpenAI stuff. So the models will get there and there will be some consolidation, but at the end of the day, you can assume that the models themselves will be very good. So what is it that distinguishes the ability to then apply all that intelligence of the models in real-world verticals? It's data, either privileged data, clean, like the better the data are that you're feeding, the better the results are going to be of whatever the latest and best model is at the end of the day. So for me, the ability to cooperate in a way that preserves, obviously anonymity, if you're talking about private information, preserves anonymity, but has data that is very hard to come by, that is representative for a lot of real problems around the world. Being able to work around that, for me, is the most important pillar of showing progress in this domain.
I agree with Andreas. I mean, this problem, when it comes to data, dealing with the privacy of data and how data can be used, how data is protected and so on, these problems are not new. These problems have been around for a long time. AI is more data intensive, perhaps, than other technologies, but we kind of know how to solve these problems as a society. I'm not too worried about that. I think the opportunity for Greece is, to Andreas' point, is if you zoom out and you think about the European opportunity with AI, we estimate that it's about a 1.2 trillion euro opportunity to adopt Gen AI across the EU, and obviously that will only happen if innovation is not impacted severely by the regulatory environment. And so to Andreas' point, the opportunity for Greece is to bring this amazing talent that we have, this energy that we have, and create an environment where that innovation can happen in Greece, and be the catalyst for Europe to capture this amazing economic opportunity in front of us. So I'm actually really excited about this.
Okay. George? You done?
Agree.
Okay.
Agree.
What about you, Bill?
So I think I mentioned it earlier, and I hear it from both Andreas and Evan, but making sure that what I call the foundational layer, at least from a company's perspective, to ensure that the data that they're extracting, they're able to structure it in a way that it can be consumed through AI in a secured way, because we have to make sure it's secure, I think is very important. And we're using technologies, and I'm not going to say who they are because some of them were right here.
Yeah.
Good choice.
We're using some technologies to be able to help us do that, what I call the middle layer, to drive our AI initiatives at our company.
Okay, great. So unless there is any question from you, from the audience, let's give it a call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.